Well, joining us now is the former country director of Action Aid, NLB. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
Good to see you.
Thank you so much.
Well, these are quite, I'm trying not to use the word troubling, so we don't even add, to the tension that's already there. Before this protest, the DSS, the Nigerian government raised concerns about, possible infiltration by, foreign mercenaries. And there you have this situation in Kano and Kaduna where young people who ordinarily you would think have no understanding of what they're doing, waving Russian flags. Let me get your thoughts on that first. I mean, how concerning is that for you?
I think, from the beginning you can see how the government went about calling traditional rulers, religious leaders, opinion leaders, and then bringing in even the state governors together in order to prevent their citizens from protesting. But the issue is not about preventing them. And there has always been some infiltrations. And you saw that on day one in Abuja. You saw that when the protesters had come, those who are protesting came to, after being limited to the Moshood Abiola Stadium. I always say as if you want people to go and play football. I have never heard where you restrict those who want to protest to football. There have always been squares. We have the Unity Fountain, for example, which is supposed to be a unity point for Nigerians. Why don't you allow protesters, if they want to protest, to go and stay there? They locked everybody out of that place and then went and got a court order and say, even at the square. Because when you have a unity, a place where they can gather, then the police, you can offload police around them, any other place. Look at where we are, and then you're able to guard it. And then, okay, so people went to the National Stadium, and they went there, and they had a load of buses who are pro-Tinubu government that also came and said they want to protest. And so you look at that. So who is starting the violence in the first place? At the end of the day, even when people decided and said,
it's not just the violence.
It's not just the violence,
I'd like
but the infiltration.
Land on your points. But that infiltration and the waving of foreign flags, specifically the Russian flag. Yeah.
It's not acceptable. You see peasants, this is what we're talking about. If there are some bad people, you arrest them. I'm sure they have arrested the guy who is sewing the flag. They will know who sponsored that. And in a lot of places, what even happened in Kano? You heard what they said. Somebody mentioned someone that they were giving, they were supported to come and cause the kind of trouble that they caused in Kano. And you want to look at the security agencies. Good thing that when they took off from, I will speak about Abuja, where we are, when they took off from even the stadium down to the Eagle Square, there was no trouble. It was at Eagle Square that they became a bit, the police felt they were unruly, and then they started playing tear gas. If not, they were walking along. You have also seen through this protest that there were some police commissioners that were very, very innovative by staying with us and saying, I'm staying with you in Lagos. That happened in Rivers, in Edo, even looking at the police commissioner giving pure water and say, okay, you take my children. Because what are we talking about? But when you see, it's unpatriotic to raise a Nigerian flag. Every smoke, they said, every fire has something somewhere. Any smoke at all, it has a place where the root is.
So to wave a foreign flag.
A foreign flag, it's not a Nigerian flag. Yeah. You are not in a Russian embassy. So why are you waving that? What is the root from there?
Yeah, shouldn't that worry you? Because it will seem as if every time, good to think, I'm excited you're here. Good to think that you've seen so many protests, and this is the first time we're getting to see a lot of hijack. Someone who was a part of the protest coming back home, her house has been boggled by the same protesters. On the same day, my colleague coming to work on that day had a vehicle almost vandalized. And we're talking about people who's trooped out. So how do you now say that these are not part of the protest? You call out a protest, but you cannot manage it. And here we are with Russian infiltrated, agents in Nigeria, plus those who are, set out vandals. Isn't it time?
There was a time.
Let me round off with this question. Isn't it time that with all you've seen, that the protest be called off or suspended?
You know, one of the things we need to look at is when they say people are corrupt, we can't say everybody in the Nigerian government is corrupt. There are lots and lots of looters in there, but there are still some decent people. So even in the protesters, you see people who want to air their views. If you don't let people air their views, if this protest has not happened, something else will come, because we've been sitting on a time bomb. You go to the market now, you cannot buy yam anymore. Yam we used to buy 300. 300 naira, you'll be complaining for buying yam. Yam is 5,000. Just a tuber of yam is 5,000 naira. A lot of friends say they can't even.
That in many places.
It's a lot more than that. It depends on the size and the type that you want. You can't buy gari anymore. The gari used to be the poorest of the. You say when you are hungry, you take gari and then you go and take maybe you buy guguru and buy groundnut, and then you're able to. Mothers are able to cope. People cannot cope anymore. There's a lot of unemployment. A lot of people have brought up their young people. We are churning out young people every day. Thousands of young people every day from the NYC camp. So where is a job for them? But the infiltration that you are talking about,
yes.
We have to deal with the issues of violence. If you look at what happened in Kano, for example, Kano State, when the protest started, you see people looting. Where was the police? Did you see tear gas there? You saw people gathering in front of Moshood Abiola Stadium. They are throwing tear gas. Are they throwing? Was there any tear gas that you saw on that first day of the protest when looting was going on? So what happened to that place? Where they are flying the flag, for example, if people have been arrested, they should account for it. We don't know where it is coming from. So who organized the extra buses on the first day of the protest in Abuja? In fact, when they were leaving the stadium, those ones in the buses were fighting for their money, that they were promised 5,000 and they are being given 3,000. So we are calling on all Nigerians, those well-meaning Nigerians, and if you're a patriot, you cannot destroy what you didn't build. Yeah. You cannot destroy the things for Nigerians. The fellow Nigerians have not offended you. So if you're a destroyer, you should be dealt with. But again, the government
can't control the destroyers. The government, what do we do? Shouldn't we suspend this protest?
You want to suspend? Is it the government? We don't know if it's the government that is even causing the trouble, because someone who has been part of the process. Because if you are in a place, those who are peaceful, are you asking them, did they do anything? Look at what happened yesterday in Jos.
In times past, has there ever been a protest where the government has been an agent of destruction and hijack?
The government, what we are saying is, if you mobilize those who have come for the protest, they know what they are on the demands. When they went to the stadium on Monday, they all sat. When they went to Ojota, everybody sat down. Everybody stayed and made their points. In Edo, they stayed together, asking people to address them. In some of the states, the state governments, the state governors came and addressed them. We are not looking at just the national government. Governance is about the people. What are we doing for the people? The petroleum, Nigeria is the only OPEC country that is not refining oil. That's a crime on its own. That's irresponsible of the government itself not to refine oil. And we are exporting, and the poor people are paying for it. That's what is happening. Yeah. At this point, we have more than 80 million Nigerians living in extreme poverty. And what that means is that 80 million, you have so many children who are unable to even pay their WAEC fees, who are unable to pay, from junior, secondary school to work, and then some who are even in the university, they can't finish the university because they cannot pay. So where these issues are.
You might want to say that the monster we created has turned on us. Maybe that's what we're seeing.
Exactly.
Now, the investment. So many young people, not engaged in any way, and they find, they're easy prey to.
We have a volume of young people.
It's unfortunate.
And that has always occurred to me when I was working in Kano. In the Kano, for example, when I was working in Kano, this was around 98, 1990. We have a lot of young people. You see them milling around, begging for food and so on, and it's across the northern zone. And that is taking responsibility for the human capital. Right. Very, very important. You are sitting here, but I know you are paying school fees for so many children. We are paying school fees you pay for your own children, you pay for others, and then they come out, they cannot, they have no job. There is no industrialization. When you don't invest in the things, in your own raw materials, like the crude, for example, that has so many byproducts that can engineer. Look at what happened with Dangote Refinery.
That's a whole different thing.
It's a whole different thing, but we need to invest.
We can spend all night talking about this, really. NLB, thank you so much. Former Country Director, Action Aid.
My pleasure.